reminding me. In this section in bar 5, yeah, so this is the question you had. Where you play the 6th string, where do you plant your thumb? And the answer would be nowhere, to be honest, because you can't really plant it on the other strings. Apart from the fact that in bar 5, do you see that it says that you have a rest on the 2nd beat? That means you can replant it because you don't need to hear the G after the rest. The rest applies to the bass. So ideally, you could play G, G, and then when you play the F sharp, you plant back on. Like that. So as soon as you play the F sharp, good, that's it. Super slow, yeah, just practice it super slow. So. So what I would do there is just to remind yourself, where you see the rest, underneath the rest, I would write a P6, just to remind you where exactly to plant some. Have you written a P6 anywhere in that bar?
I've written P6 on the 6th string only.
Where did you write?
G.
After the first note, G. So it's important where you write.
But I thought that wasn't right according to what we've done. So I thought.
You're absolutely correct, because you want the 6th string to ring, but how long should it ring for is the question. And that's what the score tells you. The score tells you that it only wants a crotchet beat, 1 beat. So after that 1 beat, you can put your thumb back down because it doesn't need to ring anymore. It shouldn't ring anymore even because it's got a rest.
Okay.
So our technique is always informed by our musical decision and what the music tells us to do.
Okay.
And then the same is true for bar. I mean, to be honest, actually, it's the same for every bar. Now that I see it, this is perhaps one thing maybe that I said wrong, where I said I do a P6 there. Well, do you see that in every bar that where you have a bass note, it has a bass note for a crotchet beat, for 1 beat? Maybe then we should be replanting our thumb on the string that we just played. So for example, the first bar, we should be replanting as soon as we get to the B because there's a rest in the bass after, during that time. So it'd be plant, 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 and then so on. Depends on the resting. So, I mean, this you're allowed to do technically, but maybe now that I think of it, it's a bit too long. We leave the C on for. It should be that the C only rings for 1 beat. So, yeah, give it a shot. Good. So that's very good. You've changed the fingerings to adapt. Now I would say that when we get from bar 3 to bar 4, right? You did bar 3 very well. You did. And then when you get to bar 5, now just bear in mind I'm not doing the correct right hand fingerings. I've not worked them out yet. But when you get to bar 5, you can start planting on 6 so that your hand is stable enough for your right hand to go down the scale again. And you're ready for the next one. So you plant on the 6th string as soon as you get to that 6th bar and to that 4th bar. Perfect. You can write that in if you like. So just sorry, it means that you'll have to change the planting that you do for the other bars as well. So in the first bar, it would be a P5 on the second beat. Second bar P5 on the second beat. Third bar P4 on the third in the first beat again. Sorry, second beat. And then in the 4th bar, as soon as you get there, P6, so that your fingers can do the scale with stability, and your thumb is also ready for the G. I would like to hear what your fingerings are for those 4 bars, as in what you wrote down.
Should I send a picture to you or should I just play it?
Play it. Actually, tell me what they are, and I can check them. So you just tell me, and I'll try them out. So, what's the first one you've got?
It's okay. I'm calling on from bar number 5.
Did we do bar number 1 to 4 altogether? Which
yes,
ones?
I had done bar number 1 to 4 fingerings in the last class.
Okay, so from bar
That's
5.
What I had written. Yeah, so bar 5 onwards, you had said to do 4 bars.
Yeah, perfect. So let's go from the 5th bar then. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. So the first note is with the thumb. P.
Good. Yep.
Then it's I M.
Okay, I am. So
Yes.
where do you play the G? Is it an open string?
Yes, that's an open string.
So the problem with the first fingering is, look. That's a string cross.
So it should be MI is what you're saying?
It should be something that, should be ideally
MI?
a fingering. Yeah, MI is a good fingering that allows for a string cross.
MI.
So then you come into another string cross. From the D to the C, if you do I am, you have another string cross.
Yeah.
So how are you going to find a fingering for that 5th bar?
I'll play the E with the A then.
Okay.
I.
Yep. So P-I-M-A-M-I-M-I. That's a good fingering. Yep.
The next bar is also similar. P, M, I, A, M, I, M, I.
Good. Yep, that works. Good, that works. Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Then next one also P, M. Hold on, I'll tell you. P, M, I, M, I, M, I, M.
Good.
This is bar number, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bar number 7 with
Yep.
the
So
B as the base.
it was just MI all the way down, or
Yes,
IM.
MI, MI, MI,
MI.
MI, MI. Yeah,
Yep. Can I just double check that? MIMIMIM. Yep. Perfect.
yeah.
And then bar
Then
8.
I am using I am throughout,
Okay. So
even for the thumb note, because you said the down stems will have to be played with the thumb. So I'm not using thumb even for the sixth string over there.
okay. So you're
Just
using
I am,
thumb
I am.
for the C B A G.
Yes, I'm using, no, I'm not using the thumb. I'm
You're
using
not.
I am.
Good. Good. You're using IM.
I'm
So
not.
yeah. So do you use the thumb at all for any note in that bar?
Could you repeat what you said?
Do you use the thumb at all for any note in
No,
that bar?
not on that bar because you
Okay.
said no that for down stems only you use the thumb. And I
Perfect.
didn't
Yeah.
see any
Very
down
good.
stem over there.
Yeah. Very good. That's exactly it. Can I just double check? So for going from the bar before, you said
Yeah, sure.
M P M I M I M I M I, and then from the if you start the D with an I and then start the C with an M, then you have a string cross there. So what's the first fingering in that bar?
Could you just repeat which bar you're talking about?
Bar number 8, the exact start of bar number 8.
Yeah.
So the first fingering is what?
The previous bar. So
Sorry,
maybe an A would be sensible here.
sorry, you cut
A
off a
M.
little bit. Which part are you talking about? So you're talking about the D
I
to
think the
C.
first note, the
Mhm.
D on the eighth bar,
Yeah.
the D on the eighth bar. If you play with the A,
Okay.
because you're ending with M on the bar 7, the last note you're playing with M. So
Yeah.
the first note of 8, if we can play with A,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm getting a sequence of A, M, I, M, I, M, I, M.
Very good. Yep, that works. I would say the only thing is replace the MA. So you see how you have on the E to the D going from bar 7 to 8, the final note of bar 7 to the first note of bar 8, you have at the moment MA. Now, as we
Yeah,
discussed, MA is a very slow fingering. This
yeah.
isn't as fast as, so replace MA with AM. It just makes it a little quicker. And just have that as a rule. Wherever you see MA, always try and replace it with AM, because I don't know if I discussed this last time, but AM is, and if you follow it with an I, then that's tremolo, which is a very easy fingering for the right hand to execute quickly.
So then the whole of bar 8 is becoming mi. Is that correct?
Almost. You have one final string cross to take care of. If it's A, M, I, M, I, M, from A to G is a string cross.
Oh. Let me just work that out.
Sure.
I just thought mi was comfortable. I'm not getting this.
So the whole point of this is you understand what string crosses are, right? The connection is really bad.
Oh. Could be mine too. Just
Seems okay now. Seems okay now.
I'm in a different room actually, and that's the reason.
Okay, it seems okay. It seems a bit more stable now. So
Seems okay now?
yeah, it seems okay. You understand string crossing? Do you understand what the string
Yeah,
crosses are?
when you're moving from one string to the other.
So what you don't want is a negative string cross. You get what the negative string cross part means as well, right?
Yes, we had discussed it.
Um, so what part is the most difficult part, do you feel?
No, for this particular bar,
Okay.
I've had written MI. Wait, now you're saying from A to G, I should use an MI, and then
Yep.
from G to F, again, I'm getting an IM. So
Yep.
I either use IM over there or G to F. This is okay, isn't it? It's not a negative string cross.
Using an
6
I
to
to
4.
M
Yeah,
for
that's for G to F.
yeah, that's fine.
That's fine, no? Okay, that's where I was getting stuck.
I mean, I would even use a easier one because for me, when I look at that distance, that's a distance of two strings, right? Your I and your M are used to a distance of sorry, it's a distance of 1, 2, 3 strings, right? Your I and your M are used to a distance of 2 strings, but I and A are used to a distance of 3 strings. So IA would seem a little more comfortable to me. And then you can just do a PIAMI, which is a nice tremolo fingering. So it's all about identifying the patterns that you can use. Wherever you can use AMI, it's nice. You want to use MI as much as possible because it's the most consistent fingering that we have. But if you have to use an A because of the string crosses, then try and use AMI in that sequence.
So then I'm getting MI, AMI for that bar 8.
Exactly. It sounds weird, but when you play it, it'll feel so natural. What do you think?
Got it.
Got it.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. I hope I'll remember. My
You
main
will do.
problem is I don't know if I'll remember a lot.
It seems like complicated now, MI, AMI, AMI, but actually, if you look at my fingers, it's very simple for my fingers. MI, AMI, AMI, MI, AMI, AMI. It's just doing that 2 times. It's like doing tremolo, you know, just very slowly, much more easier than recuerdos.
Okay.
Give it a shot. See if it feels comfortable. If it doesn't, we can work out another thing. Do it super slowly. Also, one thing I should mention is whenever I play through something in a lesson with anyone, right? This happens with everyone. I play it quick. And the only reason I play it quick is to save time. But I want you to play it slow.
Okay. So where should I play from?
Well, why don't we just try working through the same way that you told me? So play bar 5 with the fingering that you have. And could I see your right hand a little better? Could you move the camera down slightly?
Yeah.
Other way. Down. Sorry.
Hold on. No, hold on.
Ah, this must be a phone.
No, I'm not on phone. I'm on the laptop. It's just that I'm used to one position in a separate room, and my daughter has an exam today, so I
Oh, I
can't
see.
use that room.
No, that's.
So that's the
I see.
confusion.
Okay. No, that should be fine now. Uh,
No, you can't
eh,
see my right hand now.
I
Hold
can't, unfortunately. Sorry.
on. No, I understand these things are important. So, I mean, otherwise, there's no point in doing a class
Let me just say,
because this is the correction that I want. So,
let me just say, I mean, we've not even talked about your left hand, but your left hand is looking very good already.
okay,
It's looking very good. I mean, there's
okay.
less twitching of the pinky. The positioning is a lot more comfortable. It's more this is straighter. I think it's as straight as it should be. I don't think there's much problems with the
Yeah.
left hand anymore, which is very good to see. This is why I'm stressing the right hand because
Sure.
just yeah. Let's go through this and then I want to talk about something. So from bar 5, so do it super slow
I'll
and
take it slowly. Yeah.
yeah, if you can do it at a tempo where you can play and say the right hand fingering that you're doing, that would be amazing.
Say it. Okay,
And
I'll
say
try
it.
that. Okay, I'll try that. B I B B M I A M B M I A M I M I B
Good. Let's stop there.
M
How did
I
that feel?
A I B.
How did that feel with the right hand? So whenever you're playing this, yeah, that means it's good because the fact that you're
I
able
was
to
focusing on trying to say it correct.
okay. So did you notice what you were doing with your right hand? Sorry, did you
Could you
notice?
repeat what you said?
Yeah, did you notice what you were doing with your right hand when you were playing?
No, I was trying to play the right fingering and play what I was saying.
Well, you were playing the right fingering because you were saying the
I was?
fingering. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the exercise actually. When you're practicing this, practice it so that you say the right hand fingering while you play. Because then when it comes to writing down a fingering, it goes like that because your brain is already used to thinking about a fingering and fingers already following that. By saying it, you're helping. It's kind of like I don't know if you've ever ridden a bike, but you know stabilizers that they have on bikes. So by saying something that's like stabilizers on the bike, then when you take away the stabilizers, the person riding the bike doesn't need them anymore. So we don't need to say the right hand fingering anymore. By saying it at a tempo that's slow enough for us to say and play, our right hand fingering, our right hand develops more connections with what our brain wants. So that's the importance of practicing it by saying. I think it's very underrated, the voice and the mouth in guitar practice. No one uses it because they think it's all about the fingers and it's all about here. But this, it has to go, when you speak, you think more. You have to. When you sing, you think more musically. So use this. I want people to be loud with their fingers and with their mouths when they're in a practice room. Um, I think the best practice I do is whenever I'm talking to myself, saying crazy stuff like maybe I should do a bit of this, or saying fingerings to myself, or singing and stuff like that. That's the best way I practice because first of all, my brain is more engaged. Secondly, I enjoy it more because I feel like there's a direction. If you practice in complete silence, it's terrifying because you don't know what you're doing in a sense. But if you're saying stuff to yourself, even fingerings or singing the melody or whatever, you feel like you have an intention behind the practice. And that's the most important thing. You practice this when you're practicing these bars, practice saying the right hand fingerings so that you don't have to say the right hand fingerings when you perform it. You know? In a practice room, you should be doing all of the embarrassing stuff. You should be doing all of the stuff you don't want anyone else to see in a practice room. On stage, obviously, you're going to try and play the best you can. In a practice room, you can go crazy. It's fine. Um, so the for the bar five, did the first right hand fingering work?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Good. Let's go into bar six. So we'll go bar by bar.
sure. Should I say it for now?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, I can. It's just that it'll be a little slow, that's it.
Absolutely. The slower the better, I think.
P M P M P M I A N I M I.
Good.
I should know that. P M P sorry P M I A N I M I.
Very good. Very good. Do you see how much your brain has to think about? You first of all have to think about remembering to plant your thumb down on the rest, then think
Yes.
about where the A is. So there's a lot to go through, even though there's only like 8 notes. But there's so
Yeah.
much to those 8 notes. You
Yes.
focused last time on your left hand, which is now looking very good. Now you have to focus on your right hand, and it'll get there. There's no doubts in my mind at all. It'll get there. Um, and the good thing is, I'll tell you this: if you practice this stuff very well here, then you won't have to practice it as much in another piece. If you tell yourself to do a P6 on a rest, if you see it in another piece and you've practiced it well in this piece, you'll do it instinctively. It becomes habit. So already I can see it's already starting to make the connections. Bar six, the right hand fingering work. Now try bar seven.
P M I M sorry P M P M I M I M I A.
Good, good. Continue.
Should I try it
Actually,
one more time?
could you do one thing? Instead of
Yeah,
doing bar seven, do bar seven and eight. Put them together.
both together.
Yeah,
Okay,
because they connect.
sure. P M I M I M A M I M I A M I A I A M I.
Good. You did all the correct right hand fingering there. They were all correct. So, and because you're thinking about the right hand, like you're thinking about saying it, your right hand is naturally doing it. Because first of all, you have the foundation and you have the experience of playing the guitar long enough so that when you say A, your actual right hand will actually play A. So it's there. And I could see that it looked very comfortable. The good thing is, from my point of view, I could see the fingers you were saying were exactly the fingers that you were playing. And for me, your right hand was moving completely efficiently. So I didn't see any of this. I didn't see any of that. Sorry, this or anything that looked unnatural. It all looked like it was there. In fact, if I reduced the resolution of your camera, it would have looked like your right hand wasn't moving at all. And that's what you want. You don't want you don't want movement that's unnecessary. So already that looked very, very comfortable. Now I want to just talk about one thing real quick. So let me just ask you. So you teach guitar is it in a music academy, right?
Yeah, yeah. In a
May I
school.
ask the 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 kids that or the people that you teach? Do they what kind of syllabus do they follow? What kind of
The
guitar?
Trinity College London. The Trinity
Trinity.
College
I wonder because this kind of stuff, right, which you and I are discussing, right, it's not taught very, very
London.
much.
No, it's not. It's
I,
not.
I,
I was never taught. I was never taught to say the fingerings. I was just taught to use it correctly, as in, um, just did so many exercises and scales which I unfortunately don't remember because of the time gap.
yeah,
That it just naturally, like things like planting and all, I had never been taught. And
right.
I need that focused thing that you need to plant this. There's somebody who needs to tell me you need to do this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because
Which is why unless there's no repetitive class, no, that the thing of getting into the habit and therefore being able to teach it doesn't come.
well, I see an opportunity there, and the opportunity is you know how good you are at something if you can teach it. Okay, so I the best way of trying to learn this is by trying to teach it yourself. Um, and in a way, it's kind of mean because it's like having an experiment or a guinea pigs for an experiment or something. But you have students in front of you, and if you feel like you have a good understanding of this concept of using your right hand fingerings in an efficient way, talking about string crosses, it doesn't matter. Not everything has to be the exact words that I use. Sometimes I come up with my own words. String crosses I've heard from people, and my teacher taught me. Um, but if you can teach it, then first of all, not only do other people learn something that could help them as players, but more importantly for us, it gets more embedded in here. I find, I don't know, this is a bit of a crazy example, but when I was in isolation, I had a Rubik's Cube. You know what a Rubik's Cube is, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I learned how to do the Rubik's Cube and stuff like that, and it was very good. And then after I got out of isolation, I showed my family members how to do it. But by showing them how to do it, I got better at doing the Rubik's Cube because I had to understand how they would think about it. And some things that came naturally to me didn't come naturally to them. And some things that came naturally to them didn't come naturally to me. So different perspectives on how to solve the same puzzle. And it's the same thing here. One thing that might be natural to you, like saying it while you play, is quite natural to you, even though you're thinking about it. It's a natural thing, but it might not be natural to your students. So I would recommend that you teach this in your classes because this I always find that when you have some science behind, I mean, this isn't really science, but this is kind of logical for me. When you have some logic behind something as abstract as music, then it makes you feel like the work you're doing is working, you know? When we just say, oh, play it with your fingers and just hope for the best, that doesn't really help anyone, you know? You want to have a system whereby you can play something, be confident that you're not going to make a mistake because your right hand is in the correct position. Your left hand is looking very good today, which means that the mistakes you were making today weren't based on your technique. They were just based on needing more time with the piece. And that's the kind of mistakes you want to have if you're going to have any mistakes at all. Experience mistakes, not technical mistakes, not musical mistakes, but mistakes based on the fact that you've not played it long enough. You know? So teach this as much as you can. I would say the same way that we have been doing bar 1 all the way through to 8, could you do bar 9 all the way through to 16? For next time, I mean.
For next time?
What do you think?
Okay. I'll do it till 18 only if that's the end of the page for me.
Perfect. 18. And also, especially with teaching this, I think it's much easier to teach it through scales, the same way you and I started off. Because when it comes to pieces, you have to think about so much. Like there's a lot to think about, but because you're an experienced player, you can think about it all in one go. Having to plant, having to use different fingerings, having to have that melodic shaping, which we've not even come to yet, stuff like that. We're just focusing on the technique for now and what to do with our fingers rather than how to play it with our fingers. Do you have any questions about that so far?
No. But yeah, I'm going to note it down. I might have a few questions in the next class about explaining the
Absolutely.
teaching process.
Absolutely. How often do you um give these lessons?
I do it every day,
Every day. Wow. Okay.
every single day.
Wow.
But
That's
it's just that I have really small ones who will not understand any of this. But I have some grade 6, 7, 8 people who might just apply some of it.
well for me personally. I think. I mean, when you say small, what do you mean by small? What age?
7, 8-year-olds who are struggling to read notes.
Okay. First of all, they need to be able to read notes. Yeah, correct. They need to be able to understand the music. But once you feel that they're comfortable with reading the notes, the way I would teach my methodology would be read music, right hand technique, left hand technique. Because for me, if you establish a good right hand first, I mean, you have a good right hand, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with your right hand. I'm just saying methodology for me. But if you have a good, stable right hand, that's the main thing in playing guitar. Because if you don't have a right hand, you can't make a sound. If you can make a good
There's one
sound,
thing I wanted to ask you. I'm glad you put this up. Is one
yeah.
of my students who does an online class. I'm sorry, I'm just going a little out of the way. I don't know how to
No,
explain
no,
this.
these are very, very good questions. I like these questions.
You know, his hand is always like that, and especially when he is stretching his pinky or even the ring finger,
Mhm.
I'm unable to get him to, uh, not just get in the right shape of the left hand.
Yeah,
What he's actually doing is like when he's playing, say, this chord, he's unable to play this for some reason. When he's doing this sound is not coming because he's doing that.
because
From what I'm
he's
seeing of the left hand, this is what is happening,
okay. So
and
the
he
joints are
clearly
breaking.
not. Yes,
The joints are
and
breaking. I
I don't
see.
know how. I said maybe this is round, but he's unable to place this as such.
It's too weak,
No,
maybe.
this is what I'm seeing.
It's too weak. How is his left
So
hand when it's not in
when
a
he's
chord?
doing this, I'm not hearing this. This is
Okay.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I
And I don't
see.
know how to correct. And I can't get him to do this. And he's 9-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't know how much to explain to him.
How much can you
If
say
you could give me
exactly?
some technique for that, that would be really nice.
Well, I mean, that's a matter of
I know.
next time you ask him to play, when he plays that chord, so the first finger and the third finger are fine, you say, right? Even if it's
Yeah,
in the correct,
it's when he's placing the middle finger.
the middle finger, right? So let me just ask, he can place it correctly. He can. Can he
No.
place it correctly, or is it
As in, yeah, he
always
can.
he can? Okay, so sometimes he's doing this bent business, sometimes it's correct, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, when it's correct, I want you to go up to him and just ever so slightly push the middle finger, right?
It's online. I can't do it.
Ah, okay. It's online. Ah, right. I see.
If it was offline, I would have done it.
You would have changed it. Well,
Yeah.
it's a matter of practice. So there's an exercise that you can do where,
It's just something simple, but I'm just not getting it.
see, for me, I can understand why someone would do that because I'm putting all my focus on the first and the third. So at the moment, you can't hear me play it, right? I'm doing exactly what your student does. But in having to put down the pressure, it's a different kind of feeling for the left hand. So what to do would be to
With him, what is
practice.
happening is what I tried was tried making him place his index and middle, and then
Mhm.
playing those two strings. Just those two strings. That's when he's playing it correctly. But the moment he's placing his ring finger on the D, that's when his middle finger is moving naturally, a little on the fret. And
Yeah.
when the ring finger is being placed, that's when the middle finger is moving or becoming loose, and therefore that sound is not coming.
Can you do other chord shapes?
Huh?
Can you do other chord shapes?
Yes. This is what it is.
No, no. I'm just asking in general. Can he play other chord shapes?
No.
This is the first chord shape he's learning.
Yeah, this is the first chord shape he's actually done.
But this
Grade
is quite
one, what was it? Grade one was just this. Grade one didn't have a chord shape. Yeah.
grade one didn't have a chord shape. This is grade two or something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, personally speaking, this is a hard chord shape to form because it's not intuitive for the left hand. I would suggest learn an easier chord shape, say like C major, where everything is logical at the moment. So the student gets a feeling for how much pressure they need to put on. It's much easier to go and then put down the third and then put down the first and keep the pressure on all of them. When you're asked to put down this one and then fit this in the middle, the left hand has to adjust the pressure based on different geometry. So start with chord shapes like C major, even G major. I mean, G major is also a difficult one because this is unnatural for the left hand. This is unnatural for the left hand to some extent as well. So I would suggest see how he deals with C major, see how he deals with what's another good chord? E major can also be a difficult one because you see that the third has to fit in, right? See how he deals with C major first, then come back to the D major because his hand may have developed or the connection between his head and his, I'm guessing this is a he, by the way, and his fingers may have strengthened. So at the moment, I feel I know exactly why he's doing what he's doing. So he starts, you tell him to do these two fingers, right?
These two he's doing fine, but the moment the ring finger comes in, the problem is happening.
Yeah, because he lifts. He lifts. So he doesn't keep the pressure on. So when you teach something like C major, you're teaching him to play the C, keep the same weight on the C and put on the E. And then when you play the C, you keep the same weight on all three of them. But because this is a very strange chord shape, your finger will move to one end or the other. So that's how I would deal with it, as I would teach an easier chord shape for maybe a week or two. Tell him to not practice the D major for a week or two. Then once you feel that he's comfortable with a C major shape, when you can see that he's putting on the right amount of pressure, then ask him to go to the D major. One more thing as well is to ask him to do an exercise which is kind of difficult, but it's very, very good for this kind of stuff. If you ask him to be anywhere on the fretboard and you ask for each finger, how much pressure does he have to put down in the left hand before he hears a sound? So first of all, you start off with your finger on the string, right? You're not pressing it, but then you gradually increase the pressure and you'll find that we press too much. So what he's doing here is he's probably gripping so hard, right? That when he plays this, and then when he tries to put the same amount of pressure on the D, your hand can't put that amount of pressure on all three. First of all, he's been pressing so hard like that, and then you ask him to play the D, and it's not your fault. It's the fault of how much he's pressing, that his hand gets so tired that it focuses on pressuring on the three. This is a very common problem among young students, is because you're brought up as a child to grip things, right? When you're playing with toys, you hold them very tight. The same is true for the guitar. When people come to learn the guitar, they grip all the time very tightly. So it's always a matter of relaxing the hand. That's what you have to train. Not trying to put more pressure on. We have to relax the hand. And that comes through easier chord shapes for me. So let me know how that goes, because that's a very interesting point, you know. But I think very good work. I mean, I'm very impressed with the left hand. I'm very happy with how the right hand's going to be. It's just a matter of doing this every day, playing and saying the right hand fingerings every day, so that what happens is there'll come a stage where you're playing and saying, and then when you feel comfortable, you'll think and play, and when you feel comfortable, you'll just play. Okay. But no matter what level you are, the practice remains the same. So people like David Russell, people like Manuel Barrueco, I'm sure they say stuff and play at the same time all the time, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. So then we'll work more on this on Monday, and maybe we can have another look at the source study in B minor.
Okay. Monday, source study, you want to say?
Monday, yeah. Maybe at the end, depending on how much time we have. I'm thinking, again, now that I'm well, I might do a lecture soon. And this one's going to be, so I'm going to do 2 lectures. One is going to be about practice, and the second one's going to be about nails. So I'm thinking of maybe doing that next week at some time. Is that possible? What time perhaps? Next Thursday, maybe even after our lesson, or a couple of hours after it.
Yeah, Thursday maybe we could do it at 3 p.m. India time if it's okay with you. We finish at about
Yeah,
2:30.
that should be okay. What time is it now? Where you are?
2:40.
2:40, so 10 o'clock. Okay, yeah, that should work. 10:30, sorry. Yeah, 10:30, yeah, my time. 3 o'clock your time. I will put it on the group. It's not confirmed or anything, but I'll do that. It depends on everyone's availability because ideally you'd want as many people coming as possible.
Sure. How long will the lecture be?
Probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half. The half will be like at the end with people saying what they want to say, asking
Okay. So
questions.
in case I have classes scheduled, I'll leave after your lecture is over.
That's absolutely
I hope
possible.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible to just come and, if you need to go, you need to go, fine.
Yeah, I'll try and do those classes. If I manage to adjust those classes, then it's okay. If
Okay,
I can't adjust, then maybe
then
I'll
I
be
will
able
get
to.
that. I will get this confirmed as soon as possible so that you and others can organize stuff if you need to, if you can, sooner rather than later. But good work, and I shall see you on Monday. Then.
Yeah.
Perfect. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.